on her thighs.
Well. Here we go. Week 2, Oskee Hour. This is obviously the second episode. I'm Ryan Evan, Britt Miller. Thanks for tuning in, and we got our Oskee Hour official logo ready to roll. So thanks for joining me, Britt. Hope you had a good week.
Man, great week here. But I'm not seeing what we got going on here on the studio.
You can't see the background?
I just see your face really big.
Do you see you?
I do not.
Oh man, well that's a shame because let's make that happen then. That's my face really big, and that's you.
Yeah, I'm still backstage.
No, I hear you.
Only the host can add you to the broadcast.
Let's see. How about this? You're on here. I'm talking to you right now, and I can hear you.
All I'm seeing is your face.
Okay, Zach. Well, lucky you, man, because my girl's the only other one that does that. So I mean, I'm happy you can see me. But can you guys hear? Can you guys see or hear Britt? As long as you guys can see and hear him, he doesn't have to see himself.
So I'm not seeing any of the messages either.
Okay. They say they see both of you. So I can promise you, Britt, you're as handsome as ever. And there's people literally saying, we can see y'all. Y'all look good. Let's go. Like they're ready to roll. They can hear you and see you. I promise you, you're here. You're here.
I just don't feel like it, but that's the way we got to roll.
Britt does not feel here, but trust me, he really is. So I promise. So if you're just talking to me, let me see something. Maybe if I disappear and take me off, maybe you can be seen. Just you can be seen. So I'm just gonna have a little fun real quick. Let me do something. All right. Can you see you now?
I cannot.
Do you just see nothing? You see nothing?
Yeah, actually, I see nothing now.
Well, man, so I guess I'm gonna take you out of like.
You want me into the whole?
Oh man, he disappeared. So we're gonna try to re-add Britt back, and. But man, it was off to a good start. But this is how it goes sometimes in the technological world we're in. I know we could all see him, but he couldn't be. If he didn't feel like he was here, which we can't have that. We can't have that, you guys. Not Britt. All right. I think we're gonna keep that Sway Lee as our. We're gonna keep that as our intro, man. Like, cause it's just too dope. Yeah. You just see me, but Britt will be back. I promise. All right. So until Britt is back, we're gonna go over what. We're going to talk about all right. We're going to talk about football season predictions. We're going to give our thoughts on where the season is going to go, what we think is going to happen. Is Illinois going to get 6 wins? Or are they going to make a bowl game? Are they going to win 8 wins? Are they going to win 9 games? Are they going to win the Big Ten West? We're going to talk about depth chart, kind of get you guys ready for who we think is going to be playing, who I've heard I think is playing well so far in closed camp, and also football and basketball recruiting. Also, y'all, retweet this if you haven't retweeted it already. There is no reason, man. I would have 150, 200 people on my Swami lives. And on here, we're getting like 50 people at a time. Yes, eventually the show from a week and a half ago got like 3,000 views, which is great. But y'all retweet, do your thing because y'all make it great. And let's be honest, you ain't got nothing else going on a Sunday night. That's why I do it at this time. So I hear Brit. I really do. I know he's coming back here at some point. Here we go. Here we go.
There we go.
There it is. Oh,
we
man.
have some technical abilities.
There it is. Can you see everything too? Because you feel like you're more here now?
Yeah, I feel you. I see you. Feel good about it. I'm trying a little different view this week. One of the
you got you got the back. We can see the backyard. We can see all his pool, his tennis court.
Cannonballs only. Cannonballs only.
Cannonballs only. That's a name right there.
That's right.
Yes, Creed Tucker. This is on Facebook. This is on Twitter. This is on YouTube. This is everywhere. So, now, as I was telling everybody, we're going to start off with season predictions, and most importantly, we're going to do what we feel like the records are going to be. But I want to really stress a little bit more about week 0 against Nebraska, because I think that game, Britt, can really set the tone for this season for Bret Bielema. I think it's going to be huge for this team's confidence. What are your thoughts on this first week 0 when you got national audience is going to be watching? It's a noon kickoff on Fox. It's the only Power 5 game that week. What is the impact of this very first game? What can this do for this Illinois team?
It's huge. I mean, so the big piece, I think, not going over to Ireland or wherever that was going to be, it's big for us, to have that home game, which is huge. And then that gives us a little bit more of an advantage, I think, less surprises. And then, I've been a part of a regime change, with Ron Zook. And our first game out was against Rutgers whenever we have that iconic, we talked about a little bit last week, that iconic picture of E.B. Halsey jumping in the end zone to win an overtime game. And I think Bielema's done everything right for this week 0 game. I think, not allowing the media to have that ability to maybe give some insight that's not always going to be there. But the other piece of it is you don't come out and play some fluff ball, Sister Mary, the weak and poor, and beat up on them and get a false sense of confidence. So, we came out, we played Missouri 3 years out of my 4. And I'll tell you what, man, you knew you had to be ready. So maybe some more urgency in camp is happening now because of this game. And you're coming out, you're playing a Big Ten game. So, I'm glad that it's not just some out of conference opponent. Like, this has some good. It's going to make us, it's going to kind of tell us where we're at. So I think a lot of questions will be answered week 1 or week 0.
And yeah, it's all good, Britt. I knew you'd catch up.
Yeah.
It's all good. I was like, look, I don't even need to tell the guy. He is very smart. He has an Illinois degree. Not only that, but that's more than I can say. So, But anywho, week 0 is important to me, just because I feel like you got Nebraska kind of maybe won't be. Nebraska really won't be. I think week 0, it's like Nebraska has 0 clue what Illinois is right now, Bret Bielema.
Right, we have an advantage, especially defensively. They know our offensive weapons, and they know what our power is going to be with our O-line, and I know we're going to get into that. But, I think that we have all the advantages that we could ask for week 1 and the home game to boot. So I think we're in a really good place there.
Yeah, so if you think about it, like, we know what Nebraska has with Adrian Martinez. You know what I mean? Like, he started 2 years, so
they're going to try to pull him out and make somebody else start, and they're going to do the same old dog and pony show.
And then Scott Frost will ride them out of Lincoln.
Yep.
And then ridicule them when they transfer somewhere lesser than Nebraska.
All right.
Just happened to be Christian McCaffrey's brother, which is very odd. And Ed McCaffrey's son, I mean –
I have,
That's
and I have a soft spot for Nebraska a bit. One of my really good friends growing up is a huge Nebraska fan. So, and they weren't in the conference when we played them, obviously, or whenever we played in the Big Ten. And so, as you know, I don't really have any ill will towards Nebraska, but this whole, with Scott Frost being accused of the extra practices, and I know people try to sneak stuff in and get stuff done whenever you don't really have that control, especially with COVID and that kind of stuff. But at that point, I mean, why not run a clean program? I'm not saying we know if he
yeah.
did or didn't, but I'm just speaking to all college coaches. Like, just do it right. Test your metal versus someone else's metal. Can you do it better than them? So I hope that wasn't the case, but who cares if it is? We still got a game to play.
And I think that's a very valid and true point. To me, it's like this. Scott Frost knows the fan base is already like just super disappointed and like
not
they're
real
on
happy.
edge. And it's like, dude, right now is not the time to keep putting Nebraska
Break
in
a
the
rule.
freaking limelight, man. It's
I
like,
know. Not a
but
negative vibe.
he doesn't. He seems to be. He just doesn't get it. And I feel like I don't know if he thought Nebraska was just going to magically it's going to be better because he played and it was great. But like he had a great thing at UCF. Like he could have probably went and coached anywhere, I think.
I know, but you think like that's the lure of going home, right? I mean, like I would love to coach at the University of Illinois. Like I would love to be involved with that part of the game. But I just think maybe Frost was built for those smaller conferences. And, obviously he's a proven guy. He's won a lot of big games on there, but this is the Big Ten. You can't come in and just expect to have lofty expectations. You're not just going to be some, wrecking machine those first few years especially if you've never been around here. So, I mean, the Big Ten, it's tough and it's different. You can't just outspeed everybody. You can't out athlete everybody. You got to know how to play the game, but you also got to play a physical brand of ball. And that takes a lot of coaching, takes the right kind of kids. And I think that's why it might be where they're struggling a little bit is they just kind of don't have the tier of athlete that, maybe they had when he was playing.
And if we really think about it, 2 years ago, I was at maybe one of them. And we can both probably agree to this. We've been to several Illini games in our lives when we weren't playing and we were just left super bitter and disappointed at how it ended up. I can tell you one game in particular that it was your freshman year, I think, against Ohio at home.
Yeah, the Bobcats.
I was just like, we're gonna win this one. I know it, But then we didn't, and I was just like,
how did we lost on a field goal?
Yeah, it's like, how did we lose to Ohio? I was just like, and then I was like this. Let me think for a minute. We're real young. I was like, Brett's a freshman. We got some young talent, but it still hurts, man.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have the play recognition and all the kind of, we have a ton of advantages coming back with this team this year because all the guys that, could have graduated, could have went on, they have so many reps under their belt. We're in better shape. Like, yeah, back whenever we lost those, going 9 or 2-9 the first 2 years, like we were just gaining that experience that we needed. We had the athletes, we had the guys, but we just didn't have the experience. I mean, some junk play is going to get you. And I know that the Bearcats used it, or whatever the heck their name is.
Bobcats, yeah.
Bobcats, yeah, even worse. But,
they're coming to Illinois too. There's a bunch of Bobcats around.
I know. Well, we took our lumps, and I know that's where Ron Zook went to school too, and I know he didn't really take kind to being a part of that game. Yeah. But whenever you're just young, you make stupid mistakes, and you wish you can just continue to have these old guys come back. And like I said, I think that's one of our advantages this year is we got a whole bunch of dudes that have a ton of reps and a ton of practice time. And it's just going to make us better. And the guys that have chosen to move on, maybe from other programs, does nothing but help us out. So,
and I'm trending this to 2 years ago. Illinois let Nebraska escape in Champaign. We're up by 14, like over the whole course of the game, and then in the fourth quarter, it was just like they just forgot how to.
Well, I remember it got real bland on offense, and that's when I kind of fell out of love with that regime as far as. Like you got to stay aggressive. Offenses, when they're clicking, keep everything going that you've been doing. There's no shame in scoring more points to a certain degree, especially in Division I college football. If they can't stop you, that's on them. But I thought we kind of took our foot off the gas in that game, and I think from a defense perspective, keep pressuring them. do everything that got your guys into an emotional state to get them to win. And when they go stale like that, that's hard to watch. And you can see the wheels falling off in that game. I mean,
Yeah.
good momentum's real.
I mean, and I was in like section 128 and just up close, and we were just loving it, and just everybody was like, "Yeah, we're kicking the
Finally,
yeah, we were like, we got this one, baby." And then that fourth quarter, let me tell you, it was the most like hostile, vicious walk out to the car, and you're just stewing like home, and I'm like, how did we lose this game? I was just so like, depressed. I was depressed.
I mean,
and I'm just
your Jeff George 6-0, 0-6 speech depressed.
Yes, it was for real. It was a real depression. I mean, it was like, I remember just driving home being like, I think I'm going to be depressed this whole week until next week,
Yeah.
It was bad. And like, I remember I did like one of these, right? Cause I do the scope, my scopes, my lives. It wasn't really a show. Then it was just me venting and ranting and like talking about things, and fans like it. But like, I remember I went off on the staff really hard, and actually some of the staff stopped talking to me because of it. And I was like, and here's the thing.
You hate to be judged by the truth, right? Like,
I'm okay saying it now.
But come on.
I'm okay saying it now because, for one, he's not on the staff anymore, and two, he coaches on the team who Illinois is going to be playing this year. So Rod Smith was a guy that really liked me. We chatted. We shared info. He was Illinois' offensive coordinator. Well, when I went off on that rant because they literally were just bland and stale, as you said, in the final 20 minutes of the game, I was just calling it, not just like a fan, but I was calling it like I saw it, which was, you literally stopped doing what we were doing to be successful. And he took it so personal, he just wouldn't even respond to me. I remember I said Merry Christmas to him, and he wouldn't even answer me. So that's how he holds grudges. And I was like, okay. I was like, it's like that.
But everybody at that level is competitive. Like, I can get why somebody would get under their skin. I mean, it's not their proudest moment, like losing to Nebraska up 14 in the fourth quarter. Like, it's not really something that keeps you around, keeps you having a job, So I see from both perspectives. Like, but if you're not involved in the game, if you're not emotionally invested, then why come? Like, I just don't get it. Like, you should leave with an opinion of the game, hopefully a good one. But if it's not a good one, then that's when stuff needs to change.
And I will say, though, I don't ever make it personal. I never will. I knew he's a great man. He's a great father. He's a great husband. We followed each other on Twitter. I saw how much he cared for his children, and he loved his wife, and he would brag about her. Like, it was nothing personal. But people take it personal when it's like, I just was to make it clear.
You lose to Nebraska when you're up by 14 in the fourth.
It's like,
of course.
But let me tell you this. I know everybody's job you're not on social media being blasted per se. Right. It wasn't blasted. It was more like, I'm just critiquing the game. But like what I do when I mess up at work, I know everybody and their mom doesn't know, but I still have to take that criticism from my boss or my coworkers who it affects. And I get it, but it wasn't personal. But anyway, Illinois went to Nebraska last year and dominated them. Yeah. They dominated them. So Illinois, you could tell, was like vengeful. Like, we know what happened last year.
Well, I think too, they not only did that, but they wanted to establish like the programs are going in what direction. I mean, sometimes I think that's really like, that's kind of I don't know, sometimes a hokey thing to say, but like you can tell. I mean, and time does help that story, but I think we were on the right path with, beating them. I thought we dominated them in the run game. That was good to see. But, I also thinking back now, like Josh was out looking for coaches.
Yeah.
At that point in the year, Josh was like, look, we're probably going to be forced to make a decision here. COVID gave us the year. And so, just the fact that he was so willing to go out and like find a coach during a time where, maybe not be able to keep Lovey, he was willing to say, screw it. You know what? Lovey was my first big hire, but if he's not working out, let's move on. And that shows a little bit of leadership from the AD perspective as well. So,
yeah. And I can tell you this, I don't think Illinois could have any better AD at the right. I like Josh Whitman a lot.
It's all timing.
What'd you say?
It's all timing, right? I mean,
yeah.
Like just getting Josh in, getting. Well, we couldn't have did any worse from the last guy, but Josh is a heck of a hire. And like, yeah, I mean, I offered my services to him for free and they didn't even think about it. So,
Oh, man,
but
man,
just like
dude,
get the football guy back in there, I think is so important. Like nothing against other sports, but I just think football guys have the ability to deal with 100 different personalities every day. Josh has to deal with a lot of different things. He's obviously sharp, the way he maneuvers around the university and, how he just keeps the people involved. I mean, he's a good follow on Twitter. Just kind of keeps you feeling like you're part of the deal. So, that's big. And I think he's going to be part of the reason our football program continues to have success because we're going to have that watchful eye on it, and that comes from having an AD that's a football guy.
Yeah, and I think sometimes, while it's not always the case, you don't have to have an athletic director that was an alumni be a successful, productive one. But in this case, it just happens to be that. I think not only did he have a successful Illinois career where he won a Big Ten championship, he played 3 or 4 years in the NFL like you. I mean, and he knows what it takes day in and day out to be at the top of the game. He knows what it's like to be successful at Illinois. He knows you can do it. He has a degree in law, so the man is just
he's sharp. I mean, he's got a plan, and for like the chances that I get to talk to him, I enjoy it just for the simple fact that like I like talking to people that I feel are successful, that I feel have done a good job. I know my bar is different than other people's, but like Josh to me is one of them guys that he's accomplished a lot. He's a football guy first, but he's like I said, he's got his law degree. He's a good family man. Asks the right questions, says a lot of the right things. So, and those are the guys that inspired me because I want to, be one of those guys. I want to be able to, make decisions and help large groups of people. And so, like for me, Josh is a great leader. But mind you, the last other great, and we'll judge Josh when his time's done. But was Ron Gunther. Ron had the same pedigree. He was a football guy. He was a football player at the U of I. Graduated there. That was one of the last times we had an AD. Between those mix-ups that I felt that we had the right guy in place to lead everybody. And so big.
True. And it's you look at it now, I've talked to so many different age groups about Ron Gunther, and there was a portion that didn't like him one bit. They felt like he was just very like distant and like he didn't have a demeanor of like personality. He was just kind of jaded a little. Like it's like he did things his way. He didn't care about anyone else's opinions. It was just his way or the highway. I mean, because I spoke to 70-year-old fans, 80-year-olds, 50-year-old alumni.
Hey, everybody's going to have their opinion, right?
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and say I agree with everything because I don't. But I know when the last time we had success was from the football program. I know the last time we had a chance, and that was the Ron Gunther era. And, when a guy's trying to take a program from, basically nothing to something, then it just is what it is. Some people aren't going to like those decisions that got to be made, but they're probably part of the problem. You get let go whenever you're the problem.
Before we get to our prediction for week 1, 0, week 0.
That's right. You got to say it right.
Week 0. It is week 0. I mean, as much as we want to say it's game 1, week 0. Okay, so before we get to that, I want to know, and I will tell you, I think you could have been a better AD than Mike Thomas. I just want you to know that.
No experience needed. Obviously,
you don't need one. So if you hire beans and weenies, then I think I could have probably found a better coach. But anywho, did you or did you not agree? And it's okay if. Again, just be honest. Did you think Zook should have got one more year after that? They went 6-6. They still went to a bowl game. I know you won 6 and then lose 6, but for what he had been doing, no other football coach had been to that many bowls.
And the other thing too is that I think that kind of leads back into what we talked about last week was, we're not U of I is not some juggernaut football program. We want to be. But I also think that you don't build it. We have those sporadic years. We win 9 or 10 and go some big bowl and hopefully win the Big Ten. But what I want to see is consistency. And I know that's what we talked about last week. And the big piece of it is how do we get there? How do we go to bowl games every year? Not be just a 3 to 4 win team, because that's heartbreaking for an entire fan base, but it also kills your recruiting. That's your side of things. You probably break that down even more than me. But when you're only winning 3 and I'm going out and recruiting, I'm going to say, hey, bud, we need you because we need your help. And, like, that's not like a winner mentality. Like, I'd rather go earn something. I'd rather go try to take some, senior spot if you're the right kind of kid for the right program. So, that's just kind of where I'm at on that one.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people say, oh, well, the recruiting was down because they look at the rankings and then you see, well, they won 6, you're trending down, you lose 6 in a row, the way that they lost 6 in a row.
Right.
And then the fact that the recruiting was like, because you got to, as you know, the recruiting at Illinois when Zook was his first 4, 5, 6 years, 5 years, it was most of those classes were top 40, top 50, and
yeah,
I think that last.
And he was able to sell our brand like as a Midwestern town. People think it's in the middle of nowhere, and he was able to sell our brand to a lot of people that probably would have never showed up. And so the dude is a masterful recruiter, and some of this stuff, game management, all that stuff, you got to take chances, and you could always, the more people scrutinize, they're gonna have to take a look at getting rid of guys, but nobody else had that much success. I always think you give a guy like him who wasn't going to go anywhere else. Like, he wasn't going, like, that wasn't a stepping stone for Ron Zook.
No.
If we'd have had Bielema 10 years ago, I'd say, man, we got to worry about this because it'd be a stepping stone for him, and get us back on track and go somewhere else. I think we're in a really good spot with Bielema because I think he wants to be a winner for a long time somewhere now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I hope that, we as fans, and I think the point being is give the guy a chance, yes. Hold him accountable for things that we know should happen. 6 wins should happen, especially this year. And I know we're going to get in the schedule, but like we need to give these guys a fighting chance and say, hey, are they doing the right things, whether it be little by little or can we make some gains in big ways? But I hate that we are so judgmental after having some success. And then, let's just, some success is okay, but we need to be at 8, 9, every other year. So.
Yeah, and I will say, I think we're both in agreement. I think we would have given Zook 1 more year. I would have. And I think while I agree this is 10 years old, it's still something I just was curious to hear from your perspective. But I think to me, it's like, yes, there were about once a year we lost a game, even when we were those good years. Where we're like, why'd we lose this game? Like, what?
Iowa.
Yeah, and it's like, and then there were games where we beat somebody every year where I'm like, man, we beat them. I was like, so you knew, you knew it was like, but even that 2011 year when he got fired, that Arizona State win, when they had Vontaze Burfict and Brock Osweiler, they had some.
But that's what good motivators do, right? Like, maybe that's the knock against Zook is that he's a very good motivator in those games where you really don't have a chance. But really the hard thing to do is motivate people whenever it's supposed to happen. Like, hey, we're supposed to beat Eastern Illinois. Well, yeah, you are. But at the same time, it's like, how do you get motivated to do that whenever it's supposed to happen? Zook could get guys up for the big games. But before Ohio State, Penn State, Wisconsin, all that year, we would run through a dang brick wall because the dude gave some serious pregame speeches. Like, they were the shit. And
I was about to say, what was his strength? Was it his speeches? Was it just like he could capture?
Just his fire. I don't think any, nothing really poetic came out of his mouth. He always talk about Ken and Kent. He's like, whether you believe you're Ken or whether you believe you're Kent, you're right. And I'm like, I think it's Ken and Kent, but what do I know? But yeah, just his fire, man. He's just one of them guys that looks you in the eye and it. And but he had a way of getting a whole bunch of dudes from different parts of the country just out there balling, but it was because he challenged you and he did it in the right way.
Now I went to, we're going to get back in gear here. I'd say we got probably a good 20, 25 minutes, but we're going to get to gear. And I'm going to tell you what, Illinois, I like this Illinois team, and they're getting so much disrespect, not just from Vegas, who's given Nebraska +7, maybe a little more. But they're saying over under 3.5 wins for Illinois when you have Charlotte, UTSA, some really bad other Big Ten teams. Purdue isn't better. Rutgers is about the same. I think Greg Schiano is going to have them good in a couple years, but it ain't going to be this year.
Right.
I think to me, it's 4 wins at that schedule. If you look at it, is almost a guarantee. I think so.
Yeah, it'd be depressing if it doesn't happen.
Yeah, but to me, it's like it's just such disrespect on this senior laden team that has so much of a legacy that they want to leave. And I just feel like, man, you keep fueling this fire for this team. You keep slapping them in the face, and they're like, Nebraska +7 in Champaign. Yeah. I'm just telling you, man, I don't gamble, but I'm considering it this year, putting money on Illinois over under 3.5 wins. Yes.
I know, but you talk about respect and disrespect and that kind of stuff. It's like, look, man, who cares before the game? Like, that's how
I think some of those players do. I've talked to some of them. They do.
I know, but to say, like, I get it. Like, yeah, like whatever you're going to use to fuel it, but the only thing that matters is the W at the end of the day. Like,
yeah,
and
I mean,
whatever
I don't care how they win.
But like, my thing is like respect. We always had it when we walked off the field because they didn't want no more, and that's how I went to practice in the NFL every day, not expecting to lose a rep. If I lost a rep, it was a big deal, just something like that. Because like respect, like the guys that really want it and really need it. I mean, that's how you go about it. Is just make them feel you. Who cares? I mean, like. We can't bet on the game as a player, right? So I don't care what Vegas thinks at that point. It's just on me to try to win, And so I don't like.
But to me, it's the thought process. It's the thought process behind Nebraska lost some of their best offensive weapons. They did. They did.
Oh, yeah.
And Illinois didn't. Illinois kept majority of their key playmakers. Illinois went to Nebraska and beat them by 18 last year in Lincoln. The games in Champaign this year, Illinois is better on paper. Okay, we're just doing it on paper, right? Because that's what
I think they'll be more motivated no matter what. I mean, they're looking at paper and they're looking at coaching styles and all that stuff. And I still want to know how they do it because I think it's hilarious how close they are all the time. But like my thing is like I just hard disagree with Vegas on this one because I just think that we have a more senior laden team. We're going to be fired up because it is a new coach. Those guys aren't coming out and they're not going to lay an egg for that first day. Like all the hustle plays, everything else will all be right there. And, I think Bielema has enough moxie in him that trick plays and everything else will be alive week 1. So, I think we'll put the ball in the end zone.
Yeah. And so I'll give my prediction. I mean, it doesn't have to be like, this is the final score. So they got negative.
We got to get that girl. She knows her stuff. Mud Dog's 58.
Yeah. So we got Nebraska +7. I think Illinois is really – I think Bielema's not dumb. Bielema's the type of dude that's like he knows the weakness of Nebraska, and it's always been really their run defense with Frost. I don't just think magically it's just going to be just better. It's just better now. Like we do know how to stop the run now. It's not more. It's as you know better than me, but it's something I've learned.
You guys always run the ball well. I mean, they pound the dirt. So, and I even in a mediocre year for us, we're still like one of the top 4 rushing teams in the Big Ten, and that says a lot. Not winning a lot of games. Because typically your rushing yards go up when you win games because you run the ball late the whole time and you do all that kind of stuff. So it's like we're running the ball to try to win games, and that I think that's the stat that's important too.
One of my early favorite players at Illinois was Robert Holcomb. Just 40 carries a game, didn't matter. He was just an Iron Man, just 250. Like 250 yards a game. I'm just like I remember my first few years watching. I'm thinking. Does Illinois throw the ball or like they're like no, Lou Tepper's like, no, we're pounding the rock. We don't throw it. I was like, all right. So but I think Illinois is going to continue that trend. But as you said, Bielema's not just going to rest on that laurel. He's not just going to say, well, we're just going to run it. But no, when Nebraska is going to load the box eventually, they will. And they're going to dare Brandon Peters to beat him. And I know he can. It's in there. We've seen it.
I know, but think about that, right? Like from a coaching standpoint, all right, I got to load the box to stop them from running. So that creates a bunch of one-on-one opportunities. And, I hope Peters is continuing to get better. I mean, Brandon's been around. He should, for all purposes that I know, the guy should be better because quarterbacks get better as they get older. And we're not asking him to be some super athletic guy. We're asking him to throw the ball where it needs to be thrown. So I just think that, if we do have a really good running game, much like any other D coordinator in the world, is going to bring more guys into the box. It's going to provide more one-on-one or, kind of more open, easy throw or easy read opportunities for Brandon, and he'll slay that. And so, but I think that's why it's important we establish a run game early, make it to where they believe they have to have guys in the box to stop it, or we gash them, and that's going to open up the game for us big time.
And and I've been doing my research and studying, and just because I try to do that, just because I'm a nerd in that fashion, I think I'd have been
You're
a
not
solid.
Studying on Madden, are you?
No.
Come on.
I'm studying on Nebraska's fan sites and their newspapers and the
Real
article.
research.
I'm researching from what their coordinators are saying, what their fans who know the team are saying, what they're saying, behind the scenes that they don't want out. Like I'm doing all of it. So from the gist of it, they feel like they've got really good tight ends, and they feel like that this new philosophy with they got a couple new coordinators, and they feel like Frost knows his job's on the line. Obviously, he feels like
they're going to be
hungry. They're going to come in. They're going to come in thinking like, hey, you guys smoked us in Lincoln last year. Frost's going to have them hungry. But again, you don't just stop the run. I wish that's how it worked, right? Like, let's just load the box and we'll stop it. Well, and then you're going to leave a bunch of other openings. But the key for them is this, and I think this is just a fact. Nebraska with Scott Frost has turned the ball over. They've been one of the worst teams in the Big Ten.
That is
so
true.
They are literally focusing on so much ball security. I feel like you're going to watch those runners. You're going to watch the running backs be so focused on holding it with two hands that they're not going to be picking up extra yards. They're just going to be worried about stripping, because Hansen
is so proverbial, right? The more you worry about something, the more likely it is going to happen.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of my philosophy on like ball security. Like, yeah, you got to do the drills, you got to do the stuff, but when you harp on it, when you make the penalty so severe, if somebody fumbles, you're just daring like the laws of like nature to like, for some bad karma to happen. Like, just do what you do every day, because that's the way you should do it. And like I said, like if they're overdoing it from the ball security standpoint, and I know some like coachy guys are out there like, you can't overdo it on ball security. Yeah, you can. It's just like anything else, right? Like, but if they're that focused on it, I think that's just something we use our advantage. We don't get the ball out early, or if we do get the ball out early, we just got such a better chance of playing with them mentally. Make them do things they don't want to do.
To me, like, again, I didn't play, but like I've watched it and been around it so much my whole life. I feel like if a running back is so worried about holding on to the ball with two hands, like he's not being natural out there. He's not thinking like, how do I make this next cut? Or am I going to follow this block here? Or I need to pick up these extra few yards. They're going to be so worried about holding on to the ball with two hands. You are taking away that natural instinct of reaction.
You're exactly right. I mean, Sylvester Croom, one of my favorite coaches ever, and, first black head coach in the SEC, just lived the life, like played for Alabama, played for Bear Bryant. And he was our running backs coach at with the 49ers. And Sylvester, he's always pulls aside and say, what I would have done, blah, blah, blah. He's like, but that don't matter. He's like, because I said, I can't teach you how to be a running back. You got to use your instincts. He's like, I can only put you in the right position, but you got to let your instincts take over. And that's so, like you said, like if you're making these guys practice things that kind of limit instinctual play, I mean, you don't want that on a Saturday. You don't want people thinking. You want them reacting and using instincts and playing ball. And so, that if that's something they're going to do and, harp on, then that's something we could take advantage of.
Yep. And to me too, the key for this, another key last year, and while it stunk for Lovie Smith, I do feel his time was up, but Illinois had so many COVID issues and injury issues. Like Jake Hansen missed some key time, and having him back is just, he's literally a strip waiting to happen. It's like
he's always around the ball, right? Like he's an undersized linebacker. I get asked about Jake a lot. Jake's one of them dudes that, maybe in this new defense, if it is that new, could play like maybe a less physical style of play as a linebacker. Because the Big Ten, like I said, you got to take out some lead blockers and that sort of thing. And, where he's best is third down. I mean, the boy is always around the ball, getting the ball out. That's stuff you can't teach either. That's instinctual. That's just being a baller. And so hopefully he can fight that injury bug and be done with that, because I just think sometimes he's a little light in the butt to play down in the box the whole time.
He gets it.
260 some days.
Yeah, he gets it done, man. I'll tell you what. I think it's his mentality that he was raised. His dad was BYU's all-time leading tackler. Like, he's a stud, like he grew up like a thoroughbred. It's like his dad, you knew he grew up and his dad wasn't giving him no excuses. It was like, you're getting it done, and that's just how it is.
The expectations there, right? I mean,
yeah.
Even coaching high school kids now, it's like, set the expectation high, because look, if you set it so low and don't expect anything from them, and then they're never going to get there anyway. So, it's one of them shoot for the moon, land in the stars kind of things. But, just give them something to concentrate on, to do, and to focus on. And, I mean, setting that expectations high. And I think they can get there just like Jake did. I mean, like I said, he's undersized cat, but he's a tackling machine. He gets it honest. So, and he throws it up in there no matter what.
Now, so I have I think a very fair assessment to me would be, I think Illinois is going to win by 10-14. I think that they are going to wear Nebraska down. I think probably close first half. Nebraska may even take a lead. And there's going to be some nervous Illini fans. I tell you, I won't be nervous unless Nebraska's up like 14-17 real early. I'm going to be like, whoa. But I don't expect that, especially with what you said about playing, just getting up for that new coach, his first game. And they're like, we just want to show him we respect him. We are hearing him, just like you guys with Zook, right?
His first new beginning.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm saying. Just having the game at home, like, I would feel far more nervous if we were having the game overseas,
Yeah.
I just feel like that's a big distraction for trying to get a win. Now, should you do those kind of games? Of course. But, this is kind of a big year for us and a transition year. And so the fact that we're trying to win a ball game, I'm glad that we're at home. I think that, like you said, they're going to run through a brick wall for this guy. And it's a good chance to prove to that coaching staff that you belong. And make no mistake that whenever a new coach comes in, everybody's nervous. Everybody's trying to do something because they want to make sure that they're playing, the next year and the following. So I can see just a lot of guys really getting after that first week.
Now, I know each week we'll kind of go over it, and I know we could go over even game, but I wanted to more focus on Nebraska. But again, so we both got you got Illinois winning by what, 10? What?
Yeah, I'm going. I think for successful outings, and that's what I'm hoping for. I think we win. Probably 34-21, 34-22, just somewhere in that range. It proves that we can stop it proves that we can stop a Big Ten team. We're not getting gashed. You get big, long plays, they're going to score points. So, and then I hope we're at least able to score 30-plus points in a game. I mean, that's one thing that I thought we lacked. We're really good at getting to 20, 20, 24.
Yeah.
But you need to get those extra scores. And those typically come late in the game to seal the deal. And so if we can get to in the 30s, then, stopping people to 20, 24 points in the Big Ten is doable from, a good to decent defense. So, that's kind of my prediction there, 34-22. And that'd be a good day for the Illini.
Yeah, and, to me, some keys are going to be, obviously it's going to be talked about as the days come up. But for any Illini fan watching now, obviously the key for Illinois is going to be stopping Adrian Martinez, who has just been up and down for them, but he is very athletic. He can throw. He's had some 400-yard passing games, but he's also had like 105-yard passing games where he went 1 touchdown, 3 picks. He's had 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. But regardless what he does, even if he has a great game, I think Illinois is just going to wear the Nebraska defense down. But the key is to limit him and his success because he has very young running backs behind him. And again, I feel like that's going to put way more pressure on him because the ones that I'm hearing out of the camp that they really like are freshmen. They love these freshmen. It's their first games. They're going to be on the road. Yep, on the road in the Big Ten. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Get after him. And Martinez, the key to stopping athletic quarterbacks is, you know what? Keep people in front of them. Keep people in their face. Keep them uncomfortable. So I can see. I don't necessarily like blitzing. Like bringing 6 or more, just because then you get 2 ships passing in the night. One guy misses and it's touchdown. So I could see them playing a lot more base defense, keeping their eyes on the guy. Getting after him maybe with some games up front to make it look like zone reads there and it's not. But I just think, controlling him, getting him in must-pass situations. So I'm talking 3rd and 6 plus, 2nd and 8 plus. If you get him in those type of situations, then you got a really strong chance to bring pressures where freshmen and a lot of running backs would mess up. So, I love showing one side and, bringing the backside or showing and going. And I just think that we have a ton more options if we limit them on successful first down. So, and that's a big part of that's holding Martinez up.
Yep, and I can assure you, they're going to be using their tight ends. Those are their best weapons.
Yeah,
they have. Yep, and
good tight ends are tough, dude. Good tight ends, you got to cover them with the linebacker or safety. A lot of corners can't cover big tight ends, so that's that is a weapon for itself.
You saw how Tebow was handling the tight end position.
Right.
You saw some of those blocks, right?
He couldn't have played in the JV game.
Man,
I
took a drink on that one.
For him. There's been days you don't want to hit people, but you never put it on film.
Now I will say this. Now we'll go role reversal for Illinois. Again, I think they have a top 4 offensive line in the Big Ten. I think.
Yeah.
I can't be naive and say they have the best. Well, Ohio State has 2 or 3 guys picked in the first round every year. So I think Ohio State, maybe Penn State, Michigan, Illinois. I would say somewhere in there. Hold on, my bad. Wisconsin. I would probably move Michigan and put Wisconsin in there and put Illinois in there with Michigan in top 5. That just because these guys are cohesive, they've got NFL guys on that line. I think Illinois is going to have at least 2 guys get drafted from this offensive line.
Yeah, I think so.
Not just if you look at their Pro Football Focus, score outs, but if you just watch them play, if you see the accolades they've been getting in the preseason, right. I feel like their size, how they move. We've already talked about them: Doug Kramer, Vidarian Lowe, Palchevsky. They've got 3 guys that I know are already on the radar. So I think, and now with Brett Bielema's scheme of wanting to pound the rock more. Where Lovie Smith went wrong with his tenure with Rod Smith is they didn't utilize the tight end as well. They did not. And you have a guy like Luke Ford, who is a top 100 national recruit, not just a top 100, a 4-star. He was a 5-star. Right. He went to Georgia. Okay, he went to the team who was, that was Kirby Smart kid recruited. Kirby Smart recruited him. So it's like, you got to use that, and he is an animal, man. He's 6'5", and he's chiseled.
I was bummed out for him. Yeah, I'm like, this kid's over here. He's been through a little bit of family stuff. He's, transferred. He's done all this, and kind of got crapped on by the NCAA, and like now we got a chance to use him, and it was very limited, right? So it's like, let's get this kid the ball. Let's figure out what he's about, and like I said, let's figure out if he really is top 100. And we'll never know unless we throw to him.
That's right. And I want to say this is important. It's a plea. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's just me being real because that's what I do. Illinois fans, please come to the game Saturday. Just come. Yeah. Think about this. We couldn't come to the game last year. We couldn't come. We couldn't come celebrate some of these guys. You don't know when it's the last time we're going to get to see them play. You never know what's going to happen. Come celebrate them. Enjoy these guys like Brit, who gave their blood, sweat, tears, and like gave up a lot just to try and perform. It's like, yes, they love the game and they're getting a free education. I get it, but they're also sacrificing a lot too.
You know how many Decatur celebrations I missed in a row?
Oh
8.
man.
Hey, 8 Decatur celebrations. No one's going to have that pain until 6 years from now, whenever they haven't had it for 8 years in a row.
Yeah. And anybody who knows what Brits, if you don't know the Decatur celebration, it was a awesome street festival in Decatur that it was free. It was just amazing. But anywho,
the largest free street festival in the U.S.
Yes, it was amazing. It was amazing. Now, please come. Like, why not tailgate lot 31?
Got to. We got to change. We got to change the environment, right? Like,
yeah.
You got to, because when that place is rocking, you play Michigan in a night game.
Oh man,
a lot of the great experiences we had there at a full packed house. It's special for the players. It's huge. So if we could pack the place and like, I don't care what it takes to get butts in the seats. We should be doing that as U of I family for sure.
Now, I can tell you from a conference call from a couple weeks ago, they had 35,000 sold, but I know it's up closer to 50 now. People are asking me what I've heard. I could probably get a real number by Friday, but I know 60,000, a little bit over 60 is full capacity. Yeah. Nebraska is going to bring 5,000 to 8,000 fans. They always do. Yeah. So if we can get at least,
all related to, by the way.
Yeah, they're. Yeah, and Britt, you better not be in that Nebraska section with your cousin or whatever. But anyway,
hey, they made their own mistakes.
Yeah. So I'm just saying this, you guys. Brett's bringing a new brand of football here, a smash mouth brand of football. You got 28 super seniors. You got 22, 23-year-old dudes coming to try to finish and fulfill their legacy here. We haven't been to Memorial Stadium in nearly 2 years. Like, who really has something better to do on the final Saturday in August? Like, if you could really look in the mirror and say, yeah, I'd rather, mow my lawn today. It's like, just come on. Are you an Illini fan, dude? You could mow your lawn, maybe get up at 8 and mow your lawn.
Right,
it's like,
that's the thing. I think being the first game, I think it should be packed too. It's a guy that, I think a lot of us alum believe in. I think a guy that a lot of people around the country believe in. He's going to bring a winning type of ball back. We're going to be competitive, first of all. Like, that's the most disheartening thing for myself and a lot of the guys I played with, and I'm sure other athletes, is when we're not even competitive.
Yeah.
I think those days are behind us. So that's something to scream from a mountaintop about, because that's what it's all about. And competing every Saturday. And then you never know what happens.
So please come. Please come to Memorial Stadium. And I know Brett's going to be there. You're going to be tailgating on lot 31?
I won't be that Saturday. I'm going to do some interviews, but that'll be an in and out. I do have the only other thing I do is be coaching my kids. And so that'll be happening a little bit, but we'll definitely be around the Champaign area when it's all said and done.
Okay. So wait a second. Are you saying you're not coming to the game Saturday?
I'm probably not going to be in attendance, but I will do the shows prior to.
Okay. All right.
But well, anywho, I think the kids' game's in Monticello, so as soon as it's over, we'll be heading that way.
I will say
I have 4 of them that.
And look. I'm going to give. Okay, I'm going to give a pass here because Britt's probably thinking, man, I'm going to slap Ryan. But I will give you a pass if you do have multiple children and they play games, they play sports, and it's not in the Champaign area. I will give you a pass if because you can't put your children first. I get it. So your children will always come first, and so do mine. But mine don't play sports on Saturdays yet. My 12-year-old daughter does not play. She plays volleyball, and there's nothing right now going on, so we're good. My son is nearly 2, and he just enjoys running around with a football in his hand watching the game.
I'm trying to raise 2 future Illini players.
Yes, and we would appreciate that.
I'd be the quarterback, one of which will be a D tackle.
Yeah, there you go. So he already knows he's going to have a bruiser and one that's more like leaner and athletic. Yeah.
He's going to talk you out of it for sure.
Yeah. So yes, you get a pass and look, Britt's going to be at mini games, okay? But come to lot 31, I know I will be there. And again, and I've already had several people say, "Are we going to have a beer to celebrate after Ryan?" You know what? Yeah, we will. And you know what? And I'll have as many people join me. And Britt, if you're in that area, then I'll be like, Britt, let's go to wherever's a good spot. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it is, all the cool kids do these days.
Yeah. It's not I don't know if it's the new cams or what. I don't know. It's
I mean, yeah, I hear I'm just the old guy now. 34 is just ancient to those college folks. So yeah.
Yeah.
But
it's not,
yeah.
man. It's not. It's not. But I will say there's I do say if they're charging students $80 a ticket, that's a joke because I got people saying that.
Yeah, that'd be a shame. That's the thing is like, to create a good football environment, it's just organized chaos. Like you got to have the rowdy sections. You got to have, people that are borderline troublemakers. Like you got to have it all, man. And we can't just pretend like, one of the best things we ever did in the Rose Bowl year was we started playing like the Generation X, like on third down.
Did they? Oh,
it's just crazy. Yeah, because normally it's the chop and all that, and but it was just like we needed more energy, and that's one of the things I think a whole bunch of people being in a stadium creates is just that buzz. So.
Okay, someone said $80 for the whole season. That is a steal. But I will tell you, my buddy Dad's Life Dion is a cheapskate. He is. I see him on here. And the man has like 500 pairs of shoes. He's got loafers. He's got gaiters. I mean,
he does have some sick fits.
Like, dude's always fitted to the nines, man. So $80 for a season, Dion, you probably spend that on liquor in one night. That is nothing. You know what I mean? So it's okay. It is okay. But still, so
yeah, if the U of I wins, I don't even drink anymore, and I'll spend $80 on liquor for both of you.
Yeah. Yeah, look, and Britt's a man of his word. Like he'll spend $80 on anybody on here to drink a beer after a big win. But still, so come to the game. We both expect a win. I'm super excited for it. It's just like football's in the air, Power 5, the first Power 5 game, national TV. I just want to be there to feel it and just be like, man, this is –
when you wake up on the weekends, like I woke up this Saturday and it felt like football.
Yeah.
A little bit of fog on the ground,
Oh, yeah, the dew, right? The dew.
I mean, it's just a good feeling time of the year. Like for me, it's been this way for me since I was in the third grade, since the first time I strapped him up. And so this is the time of year. And if you're not excited right now, man, you're not a football fan. Like just to get back and just get back to doing what's normal, what's right. It's football, and we've had basically a year hiatus from real football. I mean, this is going to be awesome.
I think so. Real quick, win total prediction. I have Illinois winning 7 or 8 games this year. I believe in this team a lot more than many people. And I'm okay. I'll stand on my word, man. I told when Illinois won 6 games that year and went to the bowl a couple years ago, I said 6 or 7, and people were like just laughing at me. And I'm like, it's fine, but I believe in the team because I knew who they had. It's not just like, oh, well, what'd you do last year? Well, when you guys went to the Rose Bowl, you weren't good the year before. So
we lost all those games by like less than a total of 26 points, So, but
So
you know what? Dan, I know they're talking about new uniforms. I've been in the locker room a couple of times recently. I've not really seen anything that I would think is notable, but I will keep my eyes peeled for that. But
and Ryan's a good name because me and Ryan agree. The schedule is favorable because they have some tougher games in Champaign, and then they have some winnable. Their road games are games that I know they can. You feel like that's a game they can steal. They can go to Purdue and win. Yeah. Minnesota's not as they lost their best players in the NFL. They play at Minnesota. I think. You get Rutgers at home. You got Charlotte at home. You got UTSA at home. You got Nebraska at home. And then you get to the end of the year, and let's say they're at 5 or 6. Let's say they got 6 wins. Then you finish the season with 2 rivalry games. You think Brett Bielema's just going to lay down for Iowa in the second to last game of the year? You don't think he's going to have these guys
like him anyway, Yeah, he don't.
Yeah.
He don't like them anyway. So.
And then Nebraska, and then Northwestern to finish the year. You think that rivalry game's just it's gonna be, oh, it's okay? No, they're gonna want to smash Northwestern for the last 2 years, and I think talent wise, Illinois is really on par with Nebraska, Northwestern. It's just Fitzgerald is a great motivator. He's a good coach.
He gets the most out of them. He gets the most out of those
he
kids.
Does. Yeah.
I mean, have you ever seen C.J. Boucher in real life?
Who?
C.J. Boucher. C.J. was like a gunslinger quarterback.
Didn't he played in the NFL a couple of years, right?
Yeah, a couple of years, and he's just like not what you think a football player would look like. And I would say it's all because of Pat Fitzgerald. Like because dude is a motivator, but he's dug in with the kids too, man. He's right there with them every step of the way. So but I am with you getting back to the predictions. I think 6 would be expected, and then anything above 6 is a bonus. And that Boney being all the way maybe up to 8 wins. You never know. Like I said, weird things happen on a football field. But I also think like you can create your own luck a little bit. So if all those guys are buying in, I think we're definitely looking at 6 with bad luck included, and then 8. Yeah. If everything else just kind of falls into place.
All right, so I'm not crazy. Brett agrees with me. All right. So now I will say this last segment, because we're 10 after 10, it's okay. I'm going to put it all in one. So I'm going to go over some of the starters and mention a couple other things. Like Illinois is hosting some big-time recruits for football, mainly basketball. So week 0, Nebraska. Illinois got 3 guys for hoops, which Britt's as big of a hoops fan, if not more as a hoops fan than football, for just watching. But Illinois got Cam Whitmore, Cam Corrin, and Utaga Ogwe, who, again, a name that I can't pronounce, but he's a 4-star who led team final to the Peach Jam title. He was the best player on the best AAU team this year. He's visiting Illinois Wednesday to Friday. Cam Corrin and Cam Whitmore are visiting Friday to Sunday. They're going to be there for the big game, week 0. I think Illinois is going to get possibly 2 commits this weekend. So it's a big weekend for football and basketball. Now, I hope, and that's because, trust me, I got so many basketball fans who watch this, and they're just like, you just talk football. Well, no, I'm not always going to do that. And Britt likes to talk basketball, so I'll make sure we do a little bit more of that.
I'm more of a fan of basketball because I don't watch it to critique it. I just watch it to like it and be a fan. And but getting I'll tell you what though, like, don't you see the parallels though when you have a good football team? You bring in the better recruits and like they just have a better time, and it might be that like Kickstarter, but Illinois basketball, that's trending upward, man. I just hate to see the carousel of the guys that commit, then decommit, then now you're back in the hunt. And so there's a lot going on in the basketball world.
Now, so I'm gonna go over the names of things I've heard. So Brandon Peters, QB1, Artur Sitkowski, the Rutgers transfer, who was a top 400 national kid, who I just feel bad for him because he walked into just a dumpster fire at Rutgers. He tried to help bring them up. Chris Ash was their QB, sometimes you can be a good player and just go into something that's just, you're never going to succeed. So he's the backup now. So Illinois has already upgraded their backup quarterback situation. So if Brandon Peters does have an instance where you have a hiccup, you got a big, strong dude with a big arm who can come in and, fill in there a little while. And you can say, well, I feel like this dude can win us some games.
Well, and we don't have to totally change our offense. If you bring in like Isaiah or somebody like that, like now you're bringing in some stability as far as the types of play as well. And I think that's, a lot of colleges or a lot of coaches won't tell you that, but they're definitely looking for that consistent, similar type of players.
So that's our QB spot. So the running back position, from what I'm hearing, of course, Chase Brown, who has put 15 pounds of muscle on since last year, and he's just a nimble, just quick little guy. Like, not little, my bad. He makes me look little. So he's like 5'11", 6 foot, 200 plus pounds. He's a big dude now. And his brother, of course, Sidney Brown, starting at safety, all Big Ten. So I got Chase Brown 1, and then Chase Hayden, who the connection was a running back at Arkansas when Brett Bielema. He recruited Chase Hayden to Arkansas. And then when Brett Bielema took the job, was fired and went to the NFL, Hayden transferred and went to Eastern Carolina, some connections of the coaching staff there. And then when Bret Bielema took this job at Illinois, he goes, look, man, I need you back here. So I got Chase Brown 1, Chase Hayden 2, and then you're going to see Mike Epstein. Mike Epstein and then Reggie Love. So there's kind of your running back situation. At wideout, this is exciting. Anytime I think you get a Notre Dame transfer, like a guy like Jafar Armstrong, I feel like he was a top 200 national kid. He had some good games at Notre Dame, but he's like, you know what? I want to go somewhere where I feel like I can play more, and I like the Big Ten style of play. Jafar Armstrong's going to be in that mix with Donnie Navarro, Brian Hightower, Casey Washington, and Isaiah Williams. There will be down in distances where you need a guy who is 5'10", who can juke anybody out of their cleats. There's end arounds, there's jet sweeps, there's screen passes. I think Isaiah Williams is going to have a starting spot per se in specific packages where you're going to see him play more than 2 or 3 plays a game.
Yeah, they need to get him the ball. He's still electric. Just from the quarterback spot, you got everybody looking at you. And I think if you can get him by a couple people and get him started and not have to deal with the whole 11 guys just bearing down on him, that, Isaiah is going to be special in those situations. But once again, size-wise, I don't know that he's just coming out being the starter for, everything that they do.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it special is you got somebody there who can make anybody miss, who can be elite, explosive. Especially, I think that's what's going to matter. The down and distances matter. I mean, they do. You may not run a jet sweep on 3rd and 13. You know what I mean? But you can on 2nd and 3 or 2nd and 4.
There's a run pass conflict if you're motioning a bunch. I mean, you just can't be predictable with it, and 3rd and forever is predictable down. So, I don't know. I just think, they made the right move with him, getting him to a place where he could still be successful. But I think they were asking him to do too much just from a stature standpoint in the Big Ten, and trying to play quarterback at that size. It's a rough deal. And
yes, Sean Marquez Beeson is a wide receiver. He's been dealing with hamstring issues. So he will be out.
He come with ACLs. I mean, he's just going to start managing those things.
And so with the O-line, and we all pretty much know it's Vidarian Lowe, it's Alex Palczewski, it's Doug Kramer. You're going to see Julian Pearl in there, and then they've got Blake Jarosady, the FCS All-American. They've got several other guys that are going to be Alex Philstrom. There's a couple more guys. Again, I'm not going to name 10 offensive linemen. Those are the main guys you're going to be looking at who are going to be starting. I like the depth of that crew, too. They got 2 or 3 other guys who could fill in, and you really wouldn't notice a big difference. Now, the tight end position, which I think is going to be super key with Bret Bielema, you've got really good depth there. But your starters, of course, are going to be Daniel Barker and Luke Ford. Both quality, big dudes with good hands. They're senior, junior, and they block well, and they also pass catch well, which is very important.
Yeah, having 2 tight ends is going to, you could be very dangerous with that set because, playing 12 personnel is like a lot of defenses have to stay what I call even. Like you can't overplay one side or the other because typically there's pretty much even front with that 12 personnel with 2 tight ends. So that's and even if they go tight end wing set, one of those guys is probably going to draw a corner in the coverage setting. So that's why the tight end wing, not having any receivers outside of them could be used a little bit with the 12 personnel. So I would be something that I would watch out for if I was one of them offensive guys, would be how much we actually incorporate 2 tight ends in real tight end settings, not a tight end as a fullback for pass catching, but like, do we have 2 tight ends on the ball connected? Do we have tight end wing sets? Or is that how we're trying to use them? Because then there's a focus on how they're using them. And they used to do that at Wisconsin with when Bielema was up there. So I can see that happening a lot.
And you will like this as a former NFL fullback. I think there's going to be an X factor, in my opinion, on some of these like down and distant, like, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1, 4th and inches. They've got probably the biggest, baddest fullback in the Big Ten. They got him from Michigan State. His name's Max Rosenthal. He's built like a dude that I really liked it before he was on Zook's team. Who was the fullback who played for the Texans?
Oh yeah, it was right after Zach Becker and
Yeah, it was right. The dude would lay
yeah,
it. He was a tank.
yeah,
He
he
would
was
literally just
like he was kind of scary looking, like as far as like fullbacks go. And I played with Russ Weil as a fullback
yeah.
for us at U of I. So yeah, I'm sorry for not remembering his dang name, but
Man,
he tracked
and
me
he
down
was my
hard
friend
there.
on Facebook for a while too. But anyway, he played 3 years in the 4 years in the NFL as
Oh,
just
he's
a
a stud.
fullback, just blocking people. That was it. That was it. Him and Whitney
He can
Merciless.
do it.
Him and Whitney Jay
Hey,
Prosh.
Jay Prosh, yeah, that's who it was.
Jay Prosh. Him and Whitney Merciless were good friends, and they played together for the Texans.
Yep. And Jay
Um,
physically was one of them cats. Well, yeah, he
he
was
was
one of them dudes
like
that
when he
was
took his shirt off, you were
yeah.
like,
You're like, man, just stay away from me so I don't
yeah,
look
just
so
like you
normal.
make me feel inferior, dude. Like I was just like, all right, put your shirt on, dude. Okay.
Yeah, thank
So
you. Get it.
yeah. So anywho, moving to the defense. So to me, they've got Eddie Smith, a transfer from Alabama, who is a little skinny but athletic, great instincts. But you
But he
also,
comes from a winning culture, man. He comes
yeah,
from a winning culture. That's
winning culture with Saban. You know Saban don't play no game, so
right, and he don't have to because he can just
yeah,
let him go and get the next guy. But like
yeah.
just sometime in practice, those guys that have that winning culture ingrained in kind of what they do, they're the guys that kind of hold you together. And if this kid's bought in, that's even better for us because the reality is we're going to need that at some point. Something's going to go wrong, and we're going to have to figure it out on the fly. And guys that come from winning situations, winning high schools, they just do it better.
You're going to see Sidney Brown at safety. You're going to see Tony Adams, guys with years and years of experience.
So I'm looking forward to seeing Tony play. He's gonna tear it up.
Devin Witherspoon, who is growing. He's a junior now. And then you're going to have Jatavius Martin, I believe he's going to be the other safety. So you're going to have 4 dudes who've been in this program 3-4 years that have experienced bowl games. They've experienced the lowest of lows. I think they're old enough now to, know they're not going to be in cover 2 the entire game, regardless what the down and distance is, which we'll not get into that because we're about done, but maybe another week. But, and then so they're confident in their coach putting them in the proper positions, which I think is huge for a player to know. Does my coach care about me enough to put me in a winning position? Does he know that? Does he care enough to change that?
Just like most things in life, if it doesn't feel right, don't do it. And that's the same thing with defense. Like, hey, if I feel like I'm out of place, I'm probably out of place. If you don't feel like you can do your job from where you're aligned, you can't do it. So, that's just one of those things where I think that trust will come. But, it's going to take some of them live bullets and game reps for that to happen.
And I think Prather Hudson, an undersized, but he's just an athletic, tough kid that makes good big plays. He reminds me of Clayton Fedgedelum a little bit. Just undersized, but he's not, as big and as fast probably, but he's a transfer from Georgia who was like an all-time, all SEC special team type kid. Like you need those.
Which we're going to need, right? Like,
yeah. And you need dudes like that.
Ballers on special teams because they got to take it serious. And I mean, if you told a kid, hey, every play that we play, you're guaranteed to either go plus 40 yards or minus 40 yards. Like they would try their hardest because they know that's hard to do. That's every special team. And that's why people got to take it serious, So
yeah,
having some bets on there would be nice.
And at the linebacking position, we were going to have Jake Hansen. From what I've been told, C.J. Hart, the North Carolina State transfer, has been super impressive in camp. He's pushing to be starting. So Jake Hansen, C.J. Hart, you got to have Kalen Tolson and Tariq Barnes, who had that, like I told you we talked about in week 1, had that huge game against Wisconsin in week 1, plus had some other big games, but then got injured at Nebraska. Those guys are both healthy. So Illinois has just this plethora of really talented, older, experienced linebackers, and Bielema and staff are going to really thrive and love that.
Yeah, you got to. I mean, just like one of the big things, just getting everybody lined up, right gaps is it's hard to do sometimes whenever you're in the Big Ten when everybody uses tight ends and motion and all that kind of stuff. But, just recognizing screen and draw, recognizing where you're at in a game. That just all happens whenever you've had that many, reps and that many live experiences. So I just remember, by the time I got to my junior year, that we were ready for basically anything that they threw at us, whether it be some wheel route or some, screen draw kind of situation where, you got to see it in front of you to get there. And so having good linebackers, having veteran linebackers, it's key for our defense. It's going to allow us to do everything we need to do.
And to finish this depth chart off, and I'm not going to give anything specific away, but I do know that this defense is going to be more of a closer to a 3-4 type. They're edge rushers. They're going to have Isaiah Gay and Owen Carney starting, by the way. All Big Ten. There's all Big Ten kids in here. Hanson and I just mentioned Owen Carney, and Isaiah Gay is going to push for that this year. They've got some very good starting defensive ends. One's an all Big Ten performer. So, you've got that there on the edges. And then what do you got in the middle? And I've been here. Not only have you seen a body transformation from Calvin Avery, dude's lost 40 to 50 pounds. He looks great. But Broderick Perry is just this mammoth. He's just a run stopper. Like, he's just so wide that, like, he literally takes up 2 running lanes, Britt. So, I mean, those are dudes you need up front. That just, it doesn't matter. He's just there because it's like you got to find somewhere around him. And that's usually
that gap's taken. Like, and that's the thing. Like, as a linebacker, if you got a guy that's a guarantee on a double team, you're loving it, right? Because all you do is work downhill as quick as you can. So either they have to come off the double team and he wins, or they stay on the double team and you're just shooting gaps, making plays. So as a linebacker, having a big guy like Big Rod Perry, you got to love that stuff, man. Because I had 5 dudes in front of me that played in the NFL. And guess what? You get a lot of tackles because they're pretty good.
Yeah, yep. And so, and I've been hearing good things. Another great camp for Jerjon Newton, who, again, I've said I think is going to be an NFL pick next year. He's a stud sophomore, had a great freshman year. And then Jamal Woods, who's a senior, who's been dealing with tons of injury issues, but he is a good player. He's a good player, and he just can't stay on the field. So far, so good this year. Him and Mike.
Sometimes you got to prep that body for college ball, man.
Yeah.
It's not easy. And when you're playing in the trenches, it gets even more violent. They're not very far apart, but they do get after it. And so just kind of getting that body maybe in just that battle shape. It's not really like a physical shape. It's just like a state of being like, hey, I know I'm going to be hurt. I know I ain't going to feel good, but I know I'm going to play my butt off. I'm like, those D linemen and O linemen, they live in a perpetual state of that.
So I think as we end this second episode, we just super excitement this week. Come to Memorial Stadium. Me and Britt, we both got Illinois winning by 10 points or so.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, and hopefully, I feel like we're going to have a fun next episode 3 next Sunday night. So thanks for tuning in, everybody. Thanks for joining me again, Britt.
Hey, it's a pleasure, and I'm looking forward to celebrating our first victory together.
That's right. So everybody, thanks for tuning in, and swallow me out.